Okay, we're live.
I
Hey
just
everyone.
saw the message you sent me too.
Oh. Hey everyone. So sorry we had to push our live show a couple of days out and then an hour later. Um, but we are excited to talk about this book. So we are
Yes.
here for a lesson in vengeance. Oh, Hannah, yours might be better. Mine's on the
Oh yes.
Kindle. Mine,
Sorry.
there we go. You can see it a little bit there. There we go. A lesson in vengeance. So, funny story before we start. Um, I thought our live show was last week, and so it like on Monday, I like freaked out because I was like, "Oh my gosh, our live show is tomorrow," and there was no way I was going to be able to get the book in time. So I bought the Kindle, the ebook of it, which I'm kind of sad because I love the physical book. The hard copy is so beautiful. And then I was like texting Hannah the day of our live, like last Tuesday, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna finish. I just started it basically, and she's like, No, our live show's next week. So I was like, Oh, okay, well. I had plenty of time to finish. I was able to finish it, but I'm like, I wasn't gonna buy the physical copy after I had already bought the ebook of it. But funny story. But yeah, I was just like, frazzled.
It's very typical us of waiting until the
Yes,
last minute.
very. But usually I'm not on page 35 the day of the live show.
Fair.
I've at least done some.
So I'm gonna bring up my notes because I physically read a good portion of this and then listened to the audiobook
Hmm.
as well. And I think I like physically reading this one better. I definitely went so much faster doing the audiobook, but I didn't care for like the southern twang
Oh, I
that
was
Ellis had
just
because
gonna say that. I didn't like it either.
that was not that it was a bad accent. I just didn't think it fit her character, and I definitely had already started reading it without the twang. So then listening to it
Yes.
with it really threw me off.
But I mean, I guess she's from Georgia, I believe. So it kind of makes sense, but it still
Yeah,
was like off-putting. She sounded older than like 17. She sounded like a
yeah.
southern, like a southern mom. You know what I mean? Not I don't even know like what a southern mom sounds like. I'm a southern mom technically, but um but you know what I mean? Like someone older, like in their 20s or 30s type of, I don't know. But I agree, not the best audiobook in my opinion.
I can now access your
Oh,
bookmarks
you
on
can?
there.
I'm just I can
So
get yours.
Gabby and I share, like, we shared this audiobook, which has been so much fun when we do that because we can put in bookmarks to each other
Hmm.
and, like, make notes back and forth. So I finished this one before Gabby did, and all of my
For
notes,
once, for once, usually it's
yes,
me that's like, oh my God, this chapter, just wait.
and this, like, all of my notes to her are all, like, it just gets increasingly more unhinged as the book kept going because the book kept getting more unhinged. So,
I,
before we kick into anything, what did you end up rating it?
um, I'm gonna rate it a 4 out of 5 stars.
Really?
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
so surprised.
Okay. Maybe 4.5. The plot was so good. The twist was so good. I just I felt like the characters were not well developed in my opinion. I felt like it was a little bit choppy. Like the scenes didn't transition very well. Like within 2 sentences they'll be at a party and then it's the next day and they're eating breakfast and I'm like, okay. Like if you happen to just like miss like 5 seconds of the audiobook, or if I just like kind of drifted off while I was reading, we were like already in a different scene and I had to like go back because I was like, wait a second, we were just like in the woods. How come all of a sudden we're in the library reading now? It was just very choppy in my opinion. So I just had trouble with that. I had trouble um yeah, I didn't like the characters, honestly. Like I couldn't connect with Felicity. I felt like there was no good character development, and the scenes were just very choppy. Otherwise, the plot though, like the sequence of events.
So I okay, so a little bit backstory for this. Like, because I finished it before, I was convincing Gabby. I was like, it gets better. Like,
It
just
did.
hang in
It
there because I was
absolutely
enjoying it more than she was. So I'm gonna say I'm rating it like a 4 out of 5 stars. Um, and I think like I agree that it
Oh, did
was
you thought I was gonna rate
choppy.
it lower? Is
Yeah.
that why you said I'm
So I'm
surprised? Okay.
yeah, I really thought it was gonna be like a 3 or 3.5 for you. Like,
No, no, I thought it was good. I think a 4 is really good. I love the psychological element to it, and that's hard to do, and I think she did really well, especially first person. We'll get into that. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
no, you're totally fine. So this one, like, I loved the atmosphere. That's probably my favorite part of it, of like that it felt like fall. Like this is the perfect fall book because you have like the witches element. It's kind of spooky. You have like the academic, like going back to school vibes. You have like the reading and the tea, and
Mhm.
all of it was very spooky-esque, but
I
not
loved it.
horror and
Yes,
not Halloween. It was just a good fall book.
I
So I
agree.
definitely think like that's like the best part for me. The plot was super good. I enjoyed the characters, but not they're not relatable, but I don't
Mhm.
think that they were supposed to be. They're supposed to be kind of elevated because they went to this prestigious, school that was hard to get into, and I like that,
Mhm.
like that rich person. I don't know, like reading about like rich people, like and living that lifestyle, like and reading
Yeah,
about that is very entertaining to me. So like
yeah.
the fact that it was like prestigious, like type of element, I liked that
Mhm.
it was like exclusive, and I liked like the hidden not sorority, but it was like
It kind of was. It was very cliquish.
yeah, but it's
I would say sorority. I feel like, well, not necessarily sorority, but
it's a
kind
different
of.
word. It's a secret society, not a sorority. Secret
Yes.
society. So I really like that aspect of it, and I like, of course, like the mystery element to this as well was
Mhm.
fantastic, um, and definitely the psychological twists and stuff were really good. That I did not see it coming. I mean, I saw a few things coming, but I didn't see there's some surprises in there, so I was pretty pleased about that.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
it was
love that.
it was such a good time, and I also liked the representation in here too, that we had a trans character in here and had normalized lesbian couple in here and like a whole coming out thing too. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, Definitely. I really liked that. I felt like I also they touched a little bit about like being like black. I think they mentioned that there's like only 7 girls at the school, and like talking about like her grandmother and all that, and just I really liked that conversation that they had.
Yeah, and the fact that she only got in as like the token black girl because she was a rich, like well
Hmm.
established, behaved like society girl.
Yeah.
Like her grandmother did, and that's why she's in there. And I like that they
Hmm.
like pointed and nodded to that, of how that's usually not represented in society or in
Hmm.
like secret societies and like more prestigious areas, is that they're usually excluded. So I like that it's like, hey, we are including diversity and also making a line of like, this is important to talk about type of thing too. Like it was just really well done the way that they worked that in there too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. No, yeah, definitely.
so some of the unhingedness going back through
Oh,
my notes
geez.
here.
Your notes are like, at least mine are like semi sentences. Yours are like exclamation marks.
I'm telling you, I like was listening to this and I binged like half this book,
I know.
and
That's crazy. I
I
need to.
was it was the whole thing was unhinged, that I was like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
so definitely like, and they never addressed the like bearing of her pills. Can we just start there? Like, when she went out back and she buried her
Oh,
pills
yeah.
that she was supposed to be taking, and she never dug it up. She just like
No, she
buried
went
her
back.
pills because she went and got more,
Yes.
but they never
She went back
addressed
and
it.
got a refill.
Yeah, but they never like, so she just felt like she was getting better, so she went out to the back and buried them. Like, why
Yeah.
did you bury it? Why didn't you like flush them
Yeah.
down the toilet or something, or throw them away? I thought that was
Well,
like a weird element to that.
yeah. Yeah.
And then it also doesn't address that anybody saw her do this, but then later on in the book, one of the other characters who was on that same pill said, not all of us can just stop this cold turkey or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
like, clearly the rest of the house knew that she was like, did that, just like stopped her pills. And so I thought
I
that was weird.
I actually never even thought about that. I'm trying to get my notes on my Kindle. I just don't even know where. Yeah, that's really
So,
weird.
so then I was like, okay, like that part didn't fully line up for me. Um, and I think like the first unhinged part of this was her um psychosis of like, in her therapy that she'd gone to, they had made her dream up of a more like palatable, like what happened to Alex.
Yeah.
And I thought
Yeah.
that was super weird, that like you were encouraging a patient to be like live in a fantasy to be able to cope with it. And I'm not a like, I have no experience in that field, so maybe that's a thing, but I thought that was weird. Um
I truly have no idea. Honestly, it's like I thought that was crazy. I thought that was nuts. I was like, wait a second, wait a second. This is because okay, so this is what's so fantastic. It's written in first person. So we're seeing it through her perspective. So and she is such an unreliable character because we're like we don't know what she's seeing. Is it real? Like is she actually seeing ghosts? Is she seeing, shadows? Or is it just her mind playing tricks on her? Um, like you said, she truly believed that they were on a mountain and like she talks about how she always cut the rope and she cut the rope and it was an accident. And finally, did she actually push her on purpose? I'm still very confused with the ending.
yes. So they were fighting, and she like Alex came towards her and she pushed her away. So it was in self-defense, but she
Okay,
pushed her harder because she was expecting her to like push forward. And so it
got
was
it.
like a miscalculation.
But it
But so
wasn't
like it was accidental, but then she also dragged her body
okay.
out of the lake and buried her. So like not completely that fault at that
Okay,
point.
so that
Like,
actually okay.
yeah,
Okay, so she did actually bury her.
yeah.
So she just remembers these like random because we are led to believe that we have no idea where her body is. And then at the
Yeah.
very end, she actually found her body and buried her. But did she kill her? Was she dead?
Oh, yeah, because she said she pulled her body out and it was all mangled. And that's why she buried her body, because she didn't want anybody to see how she looked.
Okay, I must miss that part. I thought I read something about her putting a shovel, like hitting her in the head with the shovel. I could
Maybe
be
I
wrong.
missed that part. I
I could be wrong. I thought she was alive when she got out of the lake, and then she hit her in the head with a shovel and buried her.
I don't think so.
I think you're probably right.
I
See, and this is
remember
what's crazy. This is what I
I
like
remember
about these
like
like
part of it.
psychological books because you don't know.
Yes. So yeah, like she is went so far down the delusion train that she like remembered the feel of the rope of her being on that mountaintop thing.
Mhm.
Um I so like she was they were supposed to be on that mountaintop when they did the seance thing, right? So like where did that seance
No,
thing
the
come into
seance was in her
place?
room. The seance was in her room.
Oh, see, and that's part of the like scene transition. I thought we were on that mountaintop, and I was physically
No.
reading that at that point and still was
No. Mm-mm.
confused. Yeah, so that's definitely like an opportunity is to like that transition piece.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, yeah, she pushes her, she falls, and then she was pulling her out of the lake. Her body was mangled, and that's why she buried her. But I may have missed something where she also hit her in the head. I thought it was she had fallen and then she remembered that she buried her.
I think you might be right.
And like the forethought for Ellis to like she I knew that Ellis was a shady bitch from the beginning. But my theory was totally wrong. I really thought she came into the house to write a book about Felicity because she thought that she killed Alex. And that was not the case. She really was writing a book, but she.
Oh, no, you're totally right. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Okay, her body had looked pale and broken on the dirt when I dragged her out of the lake, less than human, waterlogged and cold.
Yeah,
I had been relieved to cover it up, first with soil and then with stones.
yeah. Like, also, how did no one find her body? No one. Like, where were the investigators in this like book?
See, this is where I'm confused. She's talking to the detectives, and then she says, I don't know what happened to her. Maybe she could have tried to crawl away for help into the woods. And then, so she thinks Alex is alive. She doesn't remember burying her.
Yeah, it's kind of like
And then she
trauma
says,
amnesia.
yeah, and then the wooden handle of the shovel was against my palm, splinters catching under skin. I'd stolen the shovel from the janitor's shed. I could dig 6 feet deep only, but oh, so now she's digging a grave. Got it. Okay. I misread that because like you said, it's really choppy. Um, okay. So she's talking to the detectives about where Clara is, and then she remembers, and then she thinks Alex is in the woods alive, but then she remembers digging, and that's where she said the shovel. I swear
Yeah,
I read that Alex was had crawled out, and then she like whacked her with a shovel and then buried her.
gotcha. Yeah, and that's what kind of makes like psychological thrillers even more fun. And maybe that's part
Yeah,
of the like choppiness too, is to make
it
it
could
more
be.
unreliable.
That's
So it
true.
may
I
just
mean,
be a writing style choice to confuse the reader more, which in that
that's
case it works.
fair. That's very fair because it is in first person, and so her thoughts aren't very coherent. She's all over the place. So, like you said, that very well could have been a writing style choice.
Yeah.
Um, so that's very true.
Um. So I,
Oh,
I,
Ellis.
yeah, Ellis, the fact that she like came into this knowing that she was intending to like pretty much like mind fuck
That's what I was saying. I
Felicity.
I have a note that says that she's a psychological like abuser. She's like abusing
Oh,
her
she
psychologically.
is. She is psycho.
Yeah.
As
She's like,
soon
let's dig up
as
her grave.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I could not believe that. I'm like who just like casually suggests that? Like, what?
I know.
So, but there was already red flags before that.
Yeah.
What kills me is that she was, I don't know if gaslighting is the correct term for this, but like she was trying to tell her like witches don't exist and this isn't magical and this isn't like there's no such thing as ghosts, but then
Mhm.
like fucking with her to like make her think that the ghosts are still there, which like cuts her off and isolates her because people are already like looking at her like she's crazy because she thinks these things, and then she is telling them, oh yeah, that doesn't exist, but then she's doing things to make her think that, and I'm just like, oh man, it like drives me nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was, yeah. You seriously, I wish The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer was available on audiobook because you would really like it. It is very much like this. It's first person, it's a psychological thriller. Um, and like it's a I rated it, well, when I read this, like 6 years ago, I rated it like a 5 out of 5 stars. It is so, so good. I think like it is, in my opinion, way better than this book, but along the same lines. I think you would really like it because there are like scenes where you're just like, wait a second, who's doing this? Like the main character, Mara, she's like she has like a nervous breakdown. Essentially, she goes crazy, kind of, and you're just like, wait a second, is this real? Is this not real? What's going on? And then there are some like magical elements to it. It's really good.
I think you told me not to read that one though because there was a trigger warning that I was sensitive to in that one though.
Oh, you're right. I did. You're right. I did.
I think there's like a sexual assault scene that would be too
Yeah.
much, especially
Yeah.
if you're in first person.
Yes, there is. Sorry, I forgot about that. You're right.
But if you look on your shelves, I have sent you a book that's called The Wives.
Mm.
That is a psychological thriller that I was like, Gabby, you need to read this because I need to talk to someone about this.
I just okay. I'm such a weenie. I'm such a weenie. Like honestly, I
But
couldn't
this
read this.
is
I
this
couldn't
is
read this book at night.
psychological.
Okay. Like this book
That's
is
a
just like
psychological thriller.
okay. There's like I wouldn't consider this book horror by any means, but there was like some
No,
spooky aspects to it, like the ghosts and the seance and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is getting a little creepy for me. So like I had to put it down while I was reading it.
this one this one is more creepy than The Wives
Oh, okay. Okay.
because that one's like a domestic psychological thriller
Oh gosh. Yeah.
because she is married to someone who has other wives
Okay.
and she's not allowed to talk to them and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's all like
Ooh.
domestic.
Oh,
And
okay.
then yeah, she's like trying to figure out like who the other wives are and things like that, even though she's not supposed to have contact with them and all of that
Interesting.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's very entertaining. Um, I made a note in this book um, that said, "This is a bit on the nose. Re-listen to this part." So let me see. I'm gonna listen to this and see what chapter this is on, so I can look up in the physical book here.
Track 29.
Yeah.
See? Ellis says, returning with two of the cocktails and tea and a sense of mistrust, especially with regard to the narrator's perception of events and the conflation of magic and madness in female characters.
Oh, she's talking
That part.
about her thesis.
Yeah. It's very on the nose. Um, what page is that though?
Let's see. Okay, page 256.
Oh my gosh, how did you do that so fast?
I can search words on the
Oh,
ebook. So is it the mental illness and genre, are you more interested in accuracy or portrayal? Mostly how depictions of mental illness are used to build suspense by introducing uncertainty and a sense of mistrust, especially with regard to the narrator's perception of events, and the conflation of
Oh,
magic and
literally.
madness in female characters. That's a great quote.
Yeah, and it like directly points a giant flashing arrow to Felicity in this entire book.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like the unreliable because of her mental illness, like,
Yeah.
and her
Well, this
perception of reality.
the second that they were like, I don't understand, she drowned, I was like, what is going on?
um yeah, I really liked that was like a hey, like that was very obvious to me, but I liked it that it worked in the book and it worked
Yeah,
in the plot to say that, and
it
it
was
wasn't
really
as
good.
like we're serving this to you on a platter. It was still very obvious, but
Yeah,
it made sense for in context for the character to say that. So I liked that it was like a nod to also this book that we are listening
yeah.
to.
I
So I really
can't
liked that,
tell.
but
Oh, yeah. So on track 16, I said, is Felicity a reliable narrator? Did her therapist brainwash her? I thought the therapist was gonna.
oh,
I thought the therapist was gonna come back like into the story, and I thought like she was brainwashing her. And I like part of me thought like the pills were laced with something. I don't know.
I could see that.
Oh, and then I did say bad idea to bury her pills, foreshadowing. She's gonna go crazy.
Yep.
I also so because I wasn't super like connected to the characters, I actually thought that they were going to become the new Dalloway Fives, and all of them were going to die
I was when once Clara died, I was expecting that too. Like I was expecting Ellis to recreate it
for all
to
of
like
them.
make it her own. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought maybe like the ending was going to be like Felicity dying.
So I really thought that the whole thing was like once we had gotten into that point of like someone else died, that it was going to be like Ellis's way to like die in a flame of glory type of thing of like being part of this
Mm.
infamous other death, and that's why she was orchestrating all of that.
Yeah,
I The biggest twist for me out of all of it was the Clara one was
yeah, she killed Clara. Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, that part I was not expecting her to find the body in the coffin. So that
Yeah.
one like threw me for a loop. But
Hmm.
the biggest twist for me was her killing Ellis. I was not expecting that at all.
I thought she was about to jump off the roof. I thought she was going to commit suicide.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she was talking about like she seemed calm and kind of at peace, and then she mentioned how it'd be really easy to jump. Uh,
Mm.
so she was talking about suicide, but I didn't realize that she was up there to fake Ellis's suicide. I thought she was gonna actually be the one to do it.
Oh, I missed all of that.
Yeah, let me see if I.
So at the I do remember now that you're saying that, but I definitely missed that foreshadowing during that entire thing.
Yeah,
So in the end, did
yeah.
Ellis win
So
because she turned
she's
Felicity into a killer at the end? She killed
interesting. Well, I
Ellis.
guess yeah, she did. Um, so she says, I wait until sun dips low in the horizon. I take the stairs to the roof. I haven't been this high up since Alex. I creep toward the edge, my blood hot in my veins. It would be so easy to fall. No, not to fall, to jump.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that's one thing of like this book started out that she felt horrible that she was the one who like took ownership for Alex's death,
mhm.
and then it was an accident, but she still felt responsible. But at the
See,
end of the book, she ended up still being responsible for a death. So I'm like, I don't
yeah, So
Like, did
part of
Ellis
me
win then?
thinks, see, I thought, okay, towards the very end, it makes it sound like she killed, um, on purpose, Alex. Like she had intent to push her off. Um, hang on.
Well, if you
I
go back
could
to
be
that scene, she says, I was expecting her to like put like pull back
right,
or something. She
right. But
wasn't trying
then
to kill her, she was just trying to push her away.
yeah, but see, here's okay, here's where I'm thinking. Okay, page 368. She's with Talia 3 years later, and she says, after we finished the food, I watch her standing by the edge of the roof, gazing out over the streets. Her hair tangles about her ears. My hands bind her hips. Her bones feel fragile in my grasp, so easily fractured. Alex felt the same way, her body docile, surrendering to the force of my weight when I pushed her off that ridge.
Yeah,
So that's
but
why I'm
that's not
like,
intent.
oh, okay.
That's just
Like,
noting like that she's the same size or that she's fragile. Like, that's not like
Talia leans back.
motivating.
Okay. Warm and trusting and says something about how cold the air is, high above. What would Ella say if she could see me now? A perfect character of one of her stories, perfectly predictable. I think about drowning, about euphoria, the red orchids I planted on Ellis's grave. I think how falling would be worse. And hear my heart beating fast and the taste of ink on my tongue, the city opening wide below us like a waiting mouth. It begins to snow. So I don't know why, but my mind went to, oh, interesting. Okay, so we're in first person. So whatever Felicity thinks or says, it's not reliable. Like we know this. Like she thought Alex was alive when she actually buried her.
Pull your mic a little bit farther away. You're getting. Okay,
Sorry.
now try. Okay, good.
Better?
Cool.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, so she thinks she cuts the rope and that's how Alex died, but really she fell off a ledge and she drowned. And then for the end, most of the book, she thinks Alex is haunting her or Alex might still be alive. She crawled out into the woods and want to be found again because she was ruined after the article, blah, blah, blah. Turns out she actually buried her. So I I'm thinking that Felicity is the psychopath and she meant to push her off like on purpose, and then she pushed Ellis and it's foreshadowing that she's about to push Talia. No, is that
Mm,
a stretch?
I think I think that she
I
intended to push Alex, but because she said I was expecting her to come back. I wasn't expecting her to go over the
right.
ledge. So it wasn't intent to kill. It just was intent to make space, like because she was
Okay.
being imposing on her.
Right. But
And so
can we trust that that's true?
yes, because it uncovered like her memory was re-triggered
Okay.
when she went like when she was
Mhm.
like going through that same steps.
Those sequence of events, she realized, "Oh yeah, I actually dragged her out of the water." And then, "Oh yeah, I buried her."
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it like her whole like psychological like suppression of memories is
Mhm.
to
A
protect
coping
her own
mechanism.
brain. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I think that all is real because she didn't want to kill Alex, but she had a very clear mindset when she went to kill Ellis.
Yeah.
Here is another question for you. Do you think Ellis would have turned her in? Like, would have framed her for Clara's death?
No. I don't think so because if she framed her, then there's a huge possibility she could go to jail and it would take away the psychological torture that she was having. She was
Do
like
you think she
manipulating
was
her.
do you think she was trying to? Do you think that like she had the intent to twist and like make it be torture for Felicity? Or do you think she is just a twisted person with the intent? Because at the end of the book, she, like, her whole book that she had written said this was all for Felicity,
Right.
intending of being like, I'm in love with you. This was all for you.
Yeah,
I did this for you.
which is why I don't think she actually would have turned her in, because I think she wanted to be the controlling. It's kind of like, like sibling rivalry, like you can't mess with my younger sibling, but I can, kind of thing. I mean,
Do
obviously
you
not
think
to
that
this
she was
extent, but
trying to mess with her though? Or do you think that it was like she was so twisted in the head that she thought this was like a romantic gesture or like
oh yeah,
something they've shared together?
I think it's what that lady, so I was looking for the bookstore scene where the lady says that she said it's about a female psychopath who falls in love with a beautiful woman who appears innocent at first but harbors deadly secrets. I think Ellis is like full on a psychopath.
Okay. But do you think like she went in trying to make Ellis's life hell or Felicity's life hell, or do you think that she did it out of, oh, I love her, like this is good, like she doesn't realize how much she is messing up and like messing with her and
Yeah.
torturing her?
I think it was intent because she mentioned, like, I went to the school for you, I read about you. So it wasn't like she met her and then came
Yeah,
up
but
with the
psychopaths
ideas.
don't need to, like, think about stalkers. Like they don't need to. There's a lot of stalkers out there who are in love with celebrities that they have never met before, and they are convinced that they are in
Yeah.
love with these celebrities.
Interesting. Interesting. That's an interesting point. I don't know actually. I don't
Like
know.
that she's like a fan because like everybody had heard about the Dalloway murders, and then this other girl died too.
Yeah. Yeah. What I found kind of also I had trouble believing is I feel like the case on Clara was too simple. Like I feel like they would have, even though she left a note from Felicity, or Felicity left a note as Ellis, basically saying that I'm assuming the note said that like I killed Clara and then committed suicide. It was like a
Well, I don't know if it was about committing suicide because the detective never found the note. Ellis found the note because she
no, no,
pulled
no,
it.
no, no. She went back and she put a note, like Ellis put a note in her room, or Felicity put a note in Ellis's room after she was dead.
Oh, was it? I thought so. It said like in when it was describing it, she had practiced it over and over and over again about Felicity's handwriting, or
Hmm.
Felicity practiced Ellis's handwriting, and she went into Clara's room and slipped it underneath her pillow, and then Ellis came out and was like, "What is this?" And she said,
Hmm.
"Even now, looking at it in her hand, my handwriting looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near what her handwriting was." And it also says my hand, like it could never have been, like she's not actually left-handed, and so my handwriting could have never been her handwriting.
Interesting.
Like I couldn't ever have been the same because
Okay.
that was the point where she had the knife up to
Oh, and she
Felicity
was
in
right-handed.
Felicity's room. Yeah, and that's when she
Okay.
realized it.
Okay. So, chapter 33, like right after she says, I never want to see her again, like right after she pushes her, she says, I leave the letter on Ellis's pillow, a confession in Ellis's own hand. They find her body, and an hour later, they find the note.
Hmm. How
So,
does
she
that?
faked a confession.
Yeah.
Maybe she
Well, she
just
was saying like,
practiced
yeah. Well, she was saying
with the
like
handwriting.
that like maybe it was like the guilt that she was feeling, and that's why she killed herself.
Yeah. And so, but that's where I'm like, I feel like they closed the case. Once again, I'm not a cop. I'm not a detective. I don't know how that works, but I feel like they closed the case a little too quickly with Clara. Like, there's all this forensic evidence linking Felicity to the crime that I feel like they like the shotgun. Like, even though someone confesses, wouldn't they want to find the murder weapon and pull prints just to corroborate the story? You know what I
Well,
mean?
they never
Like
found the body.
Clara's
So
body,
they never found the body.
a
They just know that she's
confession.
missing.
Oh,
So they don't have
so
anything
what
to
was the
compare any
confession?
evidence to. Well, that she killed Clara, but they didn't. The note didn't obviously lead to anything. Just said I killed her, and this is why I killed myself.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So they actually never found the body. Okay,
Yeah, because the body is
okay,
still buried in Alex's grave.
okay, you're right. And I think you're right with the whole intent because I'm reading back and she says when Alex died, people could barely look at me. Everyone believed I killed her. Um, but then she says I murdered Ellis Haley in cold blood, and at last they lend me their pity. So I think you're
Mm-hmm.
right. Alex was an accident.
Yeah, because I think she genuinely loved Alex,
Mhm.
even though she was mean and it sounded like they had a toxic relationship.
Yeah, it does. Um, yeah. Um, I'm like curious if like there was any sort of like magical elements to the book and if she was seeing ghosts
Mm.
of the Dalloway Five.
Like
I get,
all of the stuff out the window and the handprint on the window, or if that was Ellis, or
yeah.
the snow.
Mhm. Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
think that flask was drugged too when
I do
they,
too.
because
Yeah.
how could you not,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
because she made a I didn't think I drank that much, how did that happen type of thing, so it
Yeah.
definitely led it to that she
Yeah.
drugged them.
Absolutely. The scenes that yeah, when she was talking about that, and I'm like, I don't care how much, well, I mean, you have to be like blacked out, but like, I don't care how much you drink, you're not going to end up sleeping on the floor in the middle of winter when it's snowing outside. Like, there's no
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Like, most people are conscious enough to know not to do that unless you're like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to be freezing. You're going to want to go home.
yeah. You really have to have an intent to not remember type of thing,
Yeah, exactly.
versus just sharing a flask
Yeah.
between a bunch of girls.
Hmm. Yeah.
I I did like the interaction between her and Quinn. Um
Hmm.
and I like to see Ellis with her I like to see Ellis with her sister,
Hmm.
or her sibling. And I was I liked that little endearment of Quinn teasing their sibling, but I thought that was a little surprising how much Quinn was willing to divulge about Ellis's past, about the whole let me tell you a traumatic story about my sibling growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a little much.
It kind of seemed out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
the I like that they added that representation, but I felt like the whole Quinn character was kind of out of place. Like, all of a sudden her sister comes to visit and they have a heart to heart, and they tell her about Ellis's like traumatic story. Like, that's not usually something you just bring up randomly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think Quinn visiting was a cool representation to have a transgender character, and I like that they
Mhm.
were very focused about using they pronouns, and
Mhm.
that was very seamless.
Mhm.
I thought they used Quinn as a just device to deliver that information because they couldn't figure out how to work that in that she was messed up from childhood.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm not sure how to like, but I also don't know how else the writer would have written in that either, where it would have made sense, where that information would have been uncovered.
I mean, Ellis would have had to told her. That's the only way. Tell her, I guess. Tell.
But Ellis didn't want that information to really be shared. So,
Right. No, so you're right. They used a Quinn as a character for like that sole purpose.
yeah.
I don't know.
And then left. Like it didn't if Ellis would have had like an ongoing relationship with Quinn throughout the book and like brought them up like several times or something, it maybe would have felt
it
more
was just
seamless.
very, very random. They didn't even mention Quinn at the funeral, I don't think.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because Quinn came up to Felicity, and then Ellis's two moms also came up with the manuscript, trying to get her the manuscript. And she was like, I don't want this.
You're right. I'm sorry.
But it was very random. But overall, I think this book was a lot of fun. I definitely would recommend this one. It's still not my favorite like mystery horror for YA.
No.
Sadie will still hold that spot for me. But this was a lot of fun, and I enjoy psychological thrillers, but it definitely like it's like a love-hate relationship because I love them. They're so much fun and they really like get me engaged with the story, but it drives me nuts in the moment because I'm like, what is happening? And I definitely am like, I want to figure things out. And it bothers me that I can't.
So there is right here. It's a chunker, but Nora Roberts' Angels Fall is adult romance with mystery psychological thriller. So the main character, she survives a shooting and she goes into like a psychological I guess mania, where she has to be like institutionalized, and they try like doing what's that therapy that they do?
Like hypnosis?
No, yeah, that, but like electric.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like brain
electrotherapy.
Yeah. Where she like has all of that done. So basically she's just like, so she's still in like, she goes back and forth between a state of psychosis, and she lands in this small town and she witnesses a murder, but she's not sure if she actually witnessed that murder because there's like no body that was found, but she swears she saw it. And then things start happening around her. Is it in first person? No, it's in third person. So it's not as like unreliable because we're in third person, but it's still like, it's really good. I love this one. Actually, they did a like a Lifetime movie rendition of it. If you can find it.
So you enjoyed this book, right?
I did, yeah.
So would you be open to doing like a true crime book? Or is that too scary that it's real?
I won't do like true crime. Oh no. No. Girl, you're gonna give me nightmares. I can only do it if it's fake. And like I said, even this book at like when it was like when I was reading it in bed, I was like scenes that were like really creepy, like with the handprint and ghosts. I was like, I'm gonna put the book down. my mind wanders too much.
Let me grab this real quick.
It did give me a little bit of like Hunting Prince Dracula vibes. a little
Yes.
bit, but not nearly as good.
No, yeah, and I that's why I was like, because it's got like the academia part of it, like it was in like a darker setting, like it definitely had Karen Maniscalco vibes ish, but definitely like very different.
I was expecting a little bit like Vampire Academy-ish because like Lissa does get tortured a little bit, like psychologically. A little bit. Not much, but like Mia and
Very
all of
little,
them,
yeah.
very little. So I was expecting a little bit more like Vampire Academy-ish. But
Yeah.
all in all, it like the atmosphere, the plot, it was really good.
Yes. So for next month, we are doing a very big book. So we decided to split this up a little bit. So the first 400 pages is going to be in Empire of the Vampire. This one technically doesn't release until next week, but that's why also we are waiting a little bit. So the first 400 pages, because it is a chunker, is going to be reviewing this, and then the last 400 pages will be for November. So it's
No,
October.
Yeah. So if you look really quick, 400 pages, what chapter is that in?
Let's see.
It's 800 pages, right? Or like close to it?
Yeah. So there is a page break at 408, which is pretty close.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I don't know numeral or Roman numerals because I suck at that. But it's called The One Thing is where we're going to end off of it.
Okay.
It's XVI, which I don't know what that is.
Okay.
What's XVI?
10, 26. 16, not 26. 16. Sorry.
Okay, cool. So that's the chapter that we'll be on. Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll go to halfway point.
Sounds
and then
good.
Yeah, so it's a little under 800 pages. It's 734.
Oh, okay.
It's close enough. Yeah. And this is illustrated too, which is super cool.
Is it really?
It's got illustrations throughout it. It's
the writing
like
is so tiny.
Oh yeah.
Oh
but it's
my.
not like it's not quite on Bible pages. Quite. But yeah, there's illustrations.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mixed in here.
Have you read the Leviathan series?
No.
I think
You've recommended me that a lot. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. There's like illustrations in it.
Okay. So I think that is everything for I think that's everything for this live show. So we will see you guys for the next 400 pages or for the first 400 pages for Empire of the Vampire.
Yes.
And that'll be over on my channel, and we'll finish it up on Gabby's.
Yes. And I think, are we okay with switching it to 9 o'clock? Or, sorry, 7 and 9?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Permanently?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Awesome. Okay, so it looks like our first live show would be October 4th. Oh, sorry. No. October 5th. That is going to be the first Tuesday of October.
Cool. For the first 400 pages.
All right. Well, hope everyone has a good night. What?
Yeah, for the first 400 pages.
Yes. Is there a map?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
So the end pages are illustrated and the Barnes &
Noble one. So you know
signed.
This is going to be a good book. You know this is going to be top notch.
So there's a map in the back, and then there's also a map in the front as well, I believe.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
With
I'm
all
excited.
the crests and stuff, because there's different houses.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone has a good night, and we will see you next month.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.
Bye.